Hi, so here I got three chess puzzles for you that are from real games that were played recently, and I think those puzzles are pretty cool. And I want to show them to you. And of course, if you want to, you can always pause the video and try to solve these puzzles for yourself. So here we go. Puzzle number one was played in the game between Dmitry Kolars and Mats Andersen. Here on move 20, Andersen just played the move b5, and so Kolars retreated knight to h3, attacking the pawn twice. And Andersen played the move knight c5. Now here, Kolars could have 3-6. He could have taken the pawn with the knight, with the bishop, or with this knight. Taking with the bishop would have been fine, but I guess he just didn't like this position that he would have gotten. But it is just completely fine. The best move he probably would have had is to capture the knight, and then capture when knight takes b5, protect this, and then take on d4, and just get this slightly better position with him being up a pawn. But he played the move knight takes b5, hoping to hold on to this pawn with the two knights. He was probably thinking of knight takes e4, queen takes e4, and that's the threat of checkmate and winning the d4 pawn. So g6, queen takes d4, and this is completely winning. So you're probably thinking he had a big edge here, but in fact, if you see by the evil bar, it is a losing move. So if you want to, you can try to pause this, solve it, and figure this out for yourself. What is the winning move for black in this position? If you figure this out, the first move is taking the bishop. That's relatively obvious. But after rook takes d3, the winning idea is the brilliant queen a5. Sacrificing the queen, but it cannot be taken due to rook c1 check with inevitable backrank checkmate. And the queen is also hanging, and the knight is hanging, and both cannot be protected. In this position, Kolars played queen d1. He was taken on b5, and he's just down a piece, and eventually he went on to lose that game by the 39th move. So here's puzzle number 2. It is an endgame between Lorenzo Lodici and Samuel Sevian. Lodici was winning this previously, but in this position Sevian equalizes after the trade of pawns. He puts the rook behind the pawn, but after king h5, Sevian is attacking h6 and potentially planning rook d7 check and king takes h6. So pause this and try to figure this for yourself. What is the drawing move here for Sevian? And if you figure this out, rook f3 does draw, with the idea of trying to play rook f5 check, and if rook d7, king f6, and a similar idea to the one that happened in the game, but after king g4, the position is still very unclear, and white still has some chances. The best move is king f7, just giving up the pawn for free. Obviously, it cannot be taken by the rook due to rook takes d4, so he took with the king, Lodici, and king e7, and now the rook is stuck defending the d-pawn. Rook d5, king e6, and if rook d8, king e7, it's a perpetual draw. So Lodici played rook e5 check, and now the critical move, king f6. So now I have rook d5, king e6. The pawn obviously cannot be pushed due to losing the rook. And if rook e4, king f5, and it's the same problem. The rook has no moves protecting the pawn. So after repeating some more, Lodici had to play rook e1 and get you to this drawing rook and pawn endgame with the h-pawn that eventually Sevian went on to draw. And here's puzzle number 3. In a game between Andrei Yesipenko and Vincent Keimer, you had Yesipenko agreeing to a draw by threefold repetition in this position. But in this position, before the draw was agreed, he had a potentially winning maneuver that would at least get him a much better position that he completely missed. And of course, if you want this, you can try to figure this out for yourself, but beware, this one is really complicated. Now, if you figure this out for yourself, the move is d5, and the idea is to clear the way for the queen to the a7 pawn. Now, that seems relatively simple. Now, the best move here for Keimer is knight takes a6, after which queen c3 would have happened, attacking this knight due to the pin, and also the e6 pawn. The e6 pawn could not have been captured previously due to queen c5 trading the queens. Now after queen c3, black had to try either find knight e8 or queen h4, trying to hold equality. It's a very complicated position. But the big idea is after e takes d5, which seemingly just wins a pawn, the critical move is knight takes d6, sacrificing the knight.
And now there are again many ideas like putting the knight on f5 or playing e5. And so black has to respond by capturing the knight. And now white sacrifices the rook. Rook takes f6. Once again, forcing black to capture. And now queen takes a7, hits checkmate on g7 and rook on b8 with the fork on the g8 king and the b4 knight. And there is absolutely no way for black to do anything about it. This is a completely lost position for black. It is +6. And Yestepenko missed this in the game. Of course, it was really complicated, and the game was a draw.